we move on.
Yeah, I don't care for
Thankfully.
Avatar.
To our topic of the week. This week we are getting into the big release of the weekend, Wonder Woman. Now, this is going to be a review with spoilers. We'll warn you before we get into any spoiler detail, but it's been out for a few days. It seems like just about everyone's seen it. So we figured it's safe to talk about some spoilers since you probably have heard the non-spoiler discussions elsewhere. Of course, Wonder Woman is the adaptation of the DC property that's been in the works for a long time. There was a canceled CW show, and there's been many failed adaptations at the movie. This one finally brought to screen by director Patty Jenkins and starring Gal Gadot as the titular Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, as they call her, I guess.
It's funny because she is Princess Diana.
Yeah.
But ain't nobody would be calling her Princess Diana because there's another one of those. So yeah, Diana Prince.
This is a origin story in the mold of many origin superhero stories you've seen before. It traces her roots as a youngster brought up on the island of Themyscira, which I can't remember and don't really know how to pronounce. And she is taught how to be a warrior and is taught to fight to honor the Amazon Code, which seeks to bring peace to the world and end war and all sorts of mumbo-jumbo backstory that I don't want to get into right now. Art, what did you think
of this movie
adaptation?
2017. It's changing the world. If you
There we
don't,
go.
if you don't
Mic
like Wonder Woman
drop.
2017, you don't respect women, as they say. No,
That seems to be the case on the internet right now.
That's the thing, yeah. If you don't like this movie, you don't like your mother, your sister, your aunts. Look, I was pumped for it. I like Gal Gadot. Gadot, however you say it. She's an Israeli queen, is what she is. I liked her in the Fast and Furious movies. I thought she was dope, and then she died. I don't know if you know that. Did she die in the Fast and Furious movies?
Other franchise spoiler alert.
It's Fast and the Furious. Stop. I thought she's not the greatest actress, but she's very charismatic, I feel.
Yeah,
and
I thought she was perfectly good in this. I thought she was enjoyable to watch.
And it's very interesting. And one of the things, I guess, if we were to admit problems with Batman v Superman, I feel one of the biggest problems, which is just timing in reality. And by timing, I mean that, and I've said this before, it's a movie that is supposed to be watched after all the DC movies come out. Because there's a bunch of prequels that are coming out. And once we see all these and we watch Batman v Superman again, we'll be like, oh, that's why she acted, okay. And this adds to that, because you see her character in this, and it adds a lot to what you saw in her first appearance that she had. But I loved, this is one of those movies, right, you were saying, it's hyped up so much, and it sucks that it's hyped up so much, because then you're on these levels of expectations, and it's not a bad movie, but they brought you all the way to the top, and now you gotta look down. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a good superhero movie.
Yes.
It's a good origin story.
Yeah.
But it's still like many of those from before. It's not like it does anything crazily different, and it's not like, come on now, at the end they don't resolve to be the same thing that every other blockbuster CGI fest thing with lights and whatever. I like the character of Princess Diana, of Wonder Woman. It's weird when you say of Wonder Woman, and the way that she went about like wanting to save people and being super chipper and like coming in. Some of my favorite scenes are like when she goes in there and she's yelling at the dudes like, "You're not gonna do anything," and with her accent too. Like she's like, "You're not gonna do anything," and then she goes and she yells at Chris Pine, and there was the comedic elements that they were able to add in this movie, I think, worked because there's this fish out of water element that they obviously have for.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's similar to the way that they play Thor in the Marvel movies because he comes from a different universe.
That's exactly what it's like.
Exactly. He's so like fish out of water, as you put it, that he's so alien to all the ways that this world works.
It's oblivious, yeah.
Yeah, there's like an obliviousness, but also like a...
It's charming.
Yeah, like a charmingness to how good they are, how morally pure they are. They haven't been corrupted by humans.
Yeah, and you got Thor walking around, like the way that he speaks to people, and the way that he's walking around with his weapon, the same way you have Diana walking around literally with her sword and shield, trying to charge at a revolving door. But I like that about her. She was an engaging character, and the same thing with Chris Pine, and the same thing with a lot of the other characters that they had. It's one of those movies that I saw and I'm like, y'all hyped it up a bit too much. I'm not gonna let it's a good movie. Honestly, though, the more that I let it simmer, the more that I like it. Usually I would find more problems, but the more that I like it, the more I think of her character and I go, she was a good character. The more that I think about some of the supporting characters and I go, they had very subtle moments. Now, it's not a perfect movie. If anybody tells you that, they're a lying, thieving adulterer at heart. The movie has moments. The movie's a statement. Like, this is the first female-directed, female-driven franchise that has crossed 100 million. Some people tend to forget that the Hunger Games was one, and that's one of the things that bothers me is that we pretend like Furiosa and all these other characters have not been around. It's disrespectful, all right? Don't you dare disrespect Furiosa and
but
people.
Female directed.
But directing, though, this is the first time that a female director has been able to cross 100 million, and it's very well deserved. And I love the subtleties that they have in this movie because as I was watching the movie, and I said this in my video, you can feel the people who are fans, you can feel the people who are there just for a Thursday night, but you can feel the people who legit were watching the screen going, finally, I know what it feels like to be a dude who always sees how BA they can be on screen. And to be completely honest, I don't have a kid. I don't plan to for a while. But if I had a little girl, I'd be like, yo, I'm no feminist. Not that feminism, I'm not getting into that, but I'm no, like, overly abundant, like, oh, we gotta fight for this, we gotta fight for that. I'm all about equal rights for everyone. And when I'm watching that, it just makes me go like, yo, if I had a daughter, this is that movie that I wanted to see, that I wanted to watch to be encouraged. This is the movie that where she's the one, the boys are teaming up to her. And not just in the movie. In real life, it took a woman for Warner Bros. I said this. It took a woman for Warner Bros. To finally get a fresh rating, all right? Yeah. This is their lucky charm. This is what they needed. And it's the subtleties that they have in there. You saw the movie. There's that moment where, I feel bad I forgot his name, because he's from Lost. He's from that season 6 of Lost. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's that moment where he says, I never wanted to be a soldier. I wanted to be an actor. I just wasn't the right color. And it goes to the next scene. A bad movie goes, but I just wasn't the right color. And then gets into all of his Middle Eastern whatever and talks about the one person who did him wrong and ham-fists it in your throat. Yeah. But it was so subtle. I was just like, oh, that's good. And then they left it. And they left it there for you to think about. And I'm like, those are good things. And I keep thinking about other moments that they did it. And just getting to the geeky side of things, comic book elements, the way that they did the Princess Diana to call her that, the way that they played with the lasso of truth. I really like those things. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think considering the weight of expectations on this movie, it succeeded. You know, there's going to be people from both sides, people cheering for it and rooting against it very passionately, and to walk that fine line and give them something they'll like, them something not to hate. You know, it's a pretty solid job in terms of making sure that it's going to fulfill what we need from a superhero movie. But it does fall victim to a lot of the, tropes of the superhero genre. I mean, like, for me personally, the movie begins with Diana all fully grown. She receives a picture that is basically the end of the movie, and then it goes back to when she's a child. And for me, just maybe that's because I've seen too many of these movies, but when you show me her as an adult, you show me her at the end of an action sequence, and then you jump back to her as a kid, my mind is thinking, all right, well, there goes the next hour, where I'm just waiting for the thing that they showed me is going to happen to come up. And there's moments along the way that are fun, but a lot of it is exposition-y. All these superhero movies kind of fall victim to these things. I don't really think it's necessarily something to pin on Wonder Woman.
No, it runs in the family of superhero movies.
Exactly. But, there were elements of it that I did think stood out. I thought a couple of the action sequences were really well directed, particularly I want to say the middle one when she is sort of storming through the building. And
that was dope. That one was dope.
It's the one where most of the trailer shots are from, and for good reason, because it was really well directed. And even the final battle was pretty solid as well. I liked Gal Gadot, as you mentioned. A lot of the actors were really solid and charming. Chris Pine, I think, it's really excellent whenever he decides he's willing to be sort of more of a sidekick.
Yes!
He's such a charming, macho guy that to see him in that lead role, it's almost like you're too good looking. Like
You right,
screw
because
you
you're
a
seeing
little
him
bit.
on the frame, and you're like, that's the main character. They ain't treating him like the main character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like he wants respect, and he's not gonna really like command it, but you see him not getting it. He has this fun sort of tension throughout the
I like
movie
that.
where
I like that a
he
lot.
feels like he needs to be the hero.
Yeah.
But yeah, both he and Gal Gadot were
It was a good
excellent in the
dynamic.
movie.
It was a good dynamic.
Yeah, and I think that's really the thing that pushes this movie through to the finish line. Especially in the beginning, without either of them there, there's less to attach to. But once the two of them show up and are able to go back and forth, have some of that banter you were talking about, the movie really starts going. And I thought, there were some really great visual flares along the way too. The way that they incorporated the lasso, I thought was going to be cheesy. Just knowing what. It's a lasso.
And they laugh
in a
at it, though, but
superhero
they're
movie.
practically laughing at it. They're like, you know what this is. And they do a lot of things where the movie has one big moment towards the end that I cannot forgive. They literally repeat something they did in Batman v Superman. I cannot forgive it. That being said, though, there are many moments where you're just going like, why can't they just... And then a character actually did it. There's that moment where they want to beat up Chris Pine's character, and then someone goes, no, if we kill him, then we'll never know.
Yep.
Yeah. There's another moment later on. Dang, I just had it at the top of my head. When when he's trying to explain to her, he's like, no, I am taking you there. She's like, I don't believe you. Why doesn't he just grab and then he grabs the lasso of truth and puts... I'm like, hey.
Yeah. The movie it's you never want the audience to be smarter than your movie.
Exactly.
And luckily, when this movie felt like it was getting predictable, it would like steer into the predictability and then turn.
Yeah.
And moments like when he grabs the lasso, or I felt like I knew where it was going in terms of the villain. And
that was bad. Yeah, that was bad. You can see that from a mile away. That was bad.
Yeah. But I think it had some nice like layers to it too. Like I thought it's forecasted obviously,
Very
but
heavily.
I think that the confrontation itself had interesting moments in it.
Yeah, it's very Two-Face. I thought about it. I saw a lot of elements. So one of the ones was
Totally.
It reminded me very much of The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Not so much The Dark Knight, but the aftermath of that. Because technically, and we're spoilers, right?
Yes, let's get into spoiler territory.
So as you know, the big twist is that Ares, which was the whole running joke, which I think is hilarious. Because at a certain point, she's so like, it's Ares. And everyone's like, bro, now it's the Germans. What you talking about? Ares don't exist.
Yeah, they're fighting a war against. It's World War One.
Yes, World War One.
They're fighting against the Germans, and while Chris Pine and all of the human people want to,
they just see it as
fight against the Germans and see it as a multi-dimensional war. She just sees it as I need to defeat the god of war, Ares, and everything will be better. Everything.
And that was a funny storyline because, like, you're a viewer, so you know that she doesn't. You know that she knows that this guy is real.
Yeah.
But then you're also a human being, and you're going like, nah, she's crazy. But then her demeanor's like, but I want to believe her. And the twist that they go about with it, you have the other two characters who were straight up cartoons. I'm sorry, they were. There's a point where they just laugh. I thought they looked cool. They were cartoons. How's it? Dr. Poison. I know that's her name in the comics, but we're talking the late 90s Batman and Robin, where Poison Ivy has a guy who she injects a venom to make stronger. Bane. That was these two characters. That's what she did to him.
Yeah, it felt played out and not dimensioned in the way that a lot of these other characters
They could have been cool though.
Yeah,
they could. There's that moment when Chris
and the
Pine's
effects
like
on
talking
him
to her.
too were pretty cheesy.
The what?
The effects on him too when he would.
Oh no!
break
Everything, that looked like a video game. That looked like a cutscene from a video game where you're
really
like
did.
walking and you walk in and then he just, it was too late. I didn't make
The
any
camera
yeah.
gets that weird.
Yeah, it does that shaking. That's straight up some Arkham City Batman stuff.
Yep.
But I like the way that she looked. There was one thing that I thought was really cool. Chris Pine's flirting with her, and you're like, "Ooh, we're getting some layers here. This is a woman who's never had some romantic side." So I'm like, "Oh, we're getting into this." And they're like, "No, I see your looks are for someone else." I'm like, bro, what? First of all, what's she doing in here when she comes in with a sword in her back? That was dumb. But then you get to that twist, which I kind of saw coming because they had that lingering moment at one point when he inquires about something. And I just laughed when you have this Stuart Little looking dude with his mustache. And I'm like, stop. This is your third movie in the universe. You tell me your fourth. This is your Loki? Stop. This is who you're comparing with Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, David Thewlis isn't very.
And when they put him
godlike.
in the suit,
Yeah, I love that one shot where he just looks like ripped as hell.
Yeah.
Like did David Thewlis spend like 6 months in the gym for like
with JK, he was with JK Simmons.
Yeah, him and JK Simmons are getting buffed
But,
just for this movie.
I mean, it was interesting. It's cartoony to me because of just he looks funny to see him be a god. He's a god. Why would he look like that? First of all, regardless.
Yeah.
But the idea that even at the end, very subtly, I liked it. But again, with the subtleties, that he's still considered a hero though. They had him in the little posters. I thought that was nice. But then on top of that, here's my big issue with it, all right? Batman v Superman did this thing where Superman sacrificed himself with a spear, even though Wonder Woman could have done it. Wonder Woman again could have easily chucked that bad boy up into space, and your boy didn't have to die.
Did they have?
I'm just saying.
Did they have like parachutes or something? Like
Right.
I don't know. I didn't. That felt like a bit
It
of.
was so forced. It was like, boy, you ain't gotta die. Go ahead, kill yourself. You know what? Whatever. Leave your 13 tapes or whatever you gotta do. You're a drama queen right now. There's no reason for you to die. There's no reason for you to die.
You know, I think certain things like that I just accept as convention of the superhero genre.
It's
you know,
definitely
there are
convention,
reasons. It's the inconsequential nature of it and the broad characterizations.
You need that moment of.
Yeah, that it sells it, but it also keeps me from really fully embracing the genre as a whole. And that's why for me, like, Wonder Woman's just kind of like a solid movie. Like, I'm not really going to overtly recommend it to most people.
Well, it's because
like,
you're a sexist and a misogynist because you need to love Wonder Woman 2017 in order to respect women. No, I feel you 100%. Yeah, it's a movie that people are going to campaign for and champion for. We're looking at it as a movie, though, and as a movie, it's as you say it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to put it... I would say maybe it's like in my top 10 of the superhero movies that have come out, but you know me, I'm not like seeing every single one of them, so
You've seen 10, so it has to be
I've seen
default.
10.
Oh.
So, like, it's not, you know, it's not Iron Man or the Avengers in the way that seems to be like a game changer, but it's definitely not one of the worst ones, and I think that the sequel could be fun now that they've gotten some of the boring origin beats out of the way. I'm hoping that this movie, I'm hoping that this is the Captain America that leads to the Captain America Winter Soldier.
I think you say Captain Underpants. Captain Underpants and Wonder Woman's wedgie. No, one of the things that it reminded me a lot too of was it was like almost a female Man of Steel. Man of Steel starts off with that 20 minutes in another world. So does Wonder Woman, 20 minutes in Themyscira. And then one of the things that really sealed it for me is not just the way that they come, this fish out of water in a new place, and this whole thing of they have to come to the determination that they can't save everyone. Difference being is that Superman was so moody, people didn't like that. Wonder Woman was like, I really don't like that I can't save them. Superman's like, what you gonna do? But one of the things that really just sealed the deal to me that I was like, okay, Zack Snyder literally just took the Man of Steel script and just made a couple changes. Do you remember Man of Steel? Infamous line where they're arresting Zod and Zod goes, I will find him! And he yells that out.
Yep.
There's a scene in Wonder Woman where they put the lasso of truth on your boy. And this is out there too. The dude looks like he has diarrhea. It's like he's cramping. And he's like, I want the behind the scenes footage where it's just him with the fake rope not lit up, just going, and he yells out. If you saw the movie, there's no way you didn't chuckle a little bit when he just goes, I'm a spy. It sounded like he said, I'm a Jeff. It was the funniest thing.
That was the biggest laugh for my theater, at least.
Oh, I say that all the time. I'm a spy. It was spy. It was funny to me, and it had a couple of other unintentional moments, some that were meant to be like the whole sleeping with one another. I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
funny.
I think that was kind of
clever.
intentional.
It was clever.
The whole like him exposing himself to her thing was played funnily funny.
The whole
So yeah, I mean, I think we're both sort of in the same area with Wonder Woman in that like. We're happy to see it. You know, going back to your point about being excited for, you know, that little girls can have a chance to see themselves as a badass on
dope.
screen.
That's cool.
Like for me, I'm someone who's really excited to see new things on screen. I've never seen a world like Tangerine depicted on screen. So for me to see that movie is super exciting just because I have no idea what these people, specifically these people, are going to do next. And I think there's an element of that in this as well. That, you know, if you're putting a female hero into the traditional male hero arc, there's just some things that are going to be inherently novel about that.
Yes.
So while I am kind of dissing on this movie for being pretty by the numbers, just by virtue of its being that much different, it isn't completely by the numbers. So, you know, I think it's worth noting that, like, it may seem like a stupid little difference, but it is a difference that is tangible on screen and changes the way you watch the movie.
I agree 100%. I think there definitely is a difference. We say this all the time about how the perspectives that you come in with movies are really what make it. Not every movie has to be universal. And there is a difference when a woman directs a movie. There's a difference when a straight person directs a movie. There's a difference when a black person directs a movie, because we all have differences. I always compare it to the haircut method. The way you get a haircut is way different than the way I get a haircut. Is way different. So that little difference alone shapes your entire world differently than mine. So of course the way someone approaches a movie, of course the way that the story goes, depending on who we're following, who's the main character, is going to vary. And when you're watching a movie, I do believe that if the character's written well, you can connect to it. There's not a lot of Hispanic 20-year-olds out there that are playing the main character in a movie, but I can still relate with a lot of those characters. Nonetheless, though, when you watch a movie and you see yourself on screen, it really, it pushes you. It really invigorates you. It really inspires you. And I think that's what Wonder Woman has.
And it doesn't come at the detriment of any of the male characters, too. I thought the
That's
dynamic between Chris Pine and his troupe was great.
Because some people want that. And those are the people that make me go, nah, you are becoming what you're fighting against. So, and again, that's the thing. If you do not like Wonder Woman, I don't get why people get mad, because they want you to like it just because.
So those are our collected thoughts on Wonder Woman. Let us know in the comments below whether you agree, disagree, or have any reactions to our reactions.